one of the things I think what is important to focus on is the people, right? So, and how do we address this going forward? So, I think there has been a lot of ambiguity in terms of how do we apply mindfully all the solutions without losing focus on the skill set that the people in the business have, like where is the exactly the substitution could go. And I think I want to maybe get a more of understanding from your side. How do you see this evolving going further, like with all the particular applications of the let's say generative AI or other specific technological advancements? What do you see? How does the future looks like for you guys? So it will be great to maybe get your perspective and ideate a little bit on this topic. Daniel, do you want to start here?
Of course. Well, I think that first of all, the skills gap is very real. And to the extent that quality software engineering talent is more scarce than it should be, then certainly talent that is trained and has a fair amount of experience in data science is even more scarce. And certainly data science people who've actually touched AI and machine learning, that's scarcer still. So in our case, we've really dealt with it in two ways. We've mostly looked at people and brought them in who would have the ability to absorb all those skills internally. Just because to hire such talent externally is either impossible due to scarcity or cost prohibitive. That said, there is many different ways that you can actually do that. So for instance, a couple of months ago, we specifically held a hackathon focused on the use cases, on understanding use cases for Gen AI in our business, and then actually developing some proof of concept solutions that could be rolled out almost immediately following a weekend's worth of work. And in some cases, we've been able to understand a little bit better what we can do internally, what we can get better off the shelf, and what the actual use cases are. Because I think that a lot of this cutting edge technology, we don't even understand at this point in time how exactly it's going to work out. And then finally, I would say that many times, a lot of what you do in terms of filling the skill gap also has to be consistent with your mission, your vision, and your culture. And I can't stress that enough. So, because a lot of the time, technology ultimately is just a tool, is just a means to an end. You actually have to understand what the end is, and that you use this technology in a way that is consistent with your end goal. For instance, my view on AI is that it's wonderful. It's certainly immediately valuable in terms of significantly reducing cost. But ultimately, Gen AI is limited by the data that you train it on. You don't have a large enough data set. It's unlikely that whatever AI tool that you use is going to be transformational in terms of your business. So that's just some limitations of technology that have to be kept in mind.
Right. Okay. So I think that that's actually very helpful, and thanks for bringing the overall perspective of the of how the, let's say, so how that could be playing in the future. Yeah. So nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball, but I think it's still kind of important to set up some direction. Yeah. So for the future, and it's great when it's aligned to your mission and vision. And Arad, speaking about Sunbit, so I guess it will be very interesting also to understand what kind of emerging technologies and what kind of like skill set you also see as a game changers for the fintech industry, let's say, so for the next 3 to 5 years?
So it's good that you asked about 3 to 5 years, and I think when you take a step back, I mean, we are doing right now a webinar, right? And this webinar will be on video and people will be able to see it. When you look 20 years ago, people couldn't see webinars. People used to read newspaper or, 30 years newspaper, like literally paper, right? And that's how people used to consume data and maybe watch TV. And what we see right now is that the media industry has changed a lot. However, the finance industry, the financial industry, still significantly most of it still stayed, I call it, stuck with technology of the 1950s, which is credit card mostly, which are do not have a great customer experience, have hidden fees, unnecessary fees, and really don't focus on the customer. I think that the fintechs that will succeed will be the one who build the technology, but focus on the customer, put the customer in the center. And that's kind of part of what Daniel mentioned about the mission. If some mission is to, we call it, eliminate financial waste and pass value to merchants and to consumers, which means we focus all the time. One of our values is innovate for good, when we put all the technology, all the best people to focus on the innovate for good and to do it for the customer. Of course, while making profit, right? Because without making profit, you cannot survive for the future. So I think when you look 5 years from now, 10 years from now, consumers deserve better products, more personalized, more transparent, and actually cheaper. So less fees, more transparent, and it will matter of time until the fintech will get there. And the companies that will be able to do it will be the one that leverage in technology with the mission. And that's what we try to do day after day to achieve this mission.
I also wanted to, and thanks, Arad. I also wanted to cover a bit the part we actually also addressed in the previous slide in terms of the partnerships. And also looks like you guys go way back together. So in terms of perhaps working on some products or working on some specifics around what you've been building separately or together. So I'm really curious to understand your perspective, like how partnerships and what relevant partnerships can help your businesses to accelerate forward. And where do you see how do you see also technology playing a part in that for accelerating your products to market? Whoever wants to start, but it will be great to get answers from both of you.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll start. One of the ventures that I'm currently involved with is actually a software as a service technology licensing startup, in addition to running a lender on its own. And much of what we do is based on technology. Now, in terms of partnerships, I think it depends what we mean. But typically, when I think about partnerships, I really think about either acquiring some sort of know-how that I don't currently have via partnership, or capital, or data, or customers, or all of the above. So to the extent that that is applicable to somebody else, I think you need to understand how much scale you get via such partnerships, and ultimately what that's going to cost you. But in terms of, for instance, partnerships to access technology, which is the something that if, for instance, that's something you don't have in-house, then I think it's very valuable as long as you really focus and you have the right partner to provide that technology that is extremely focused on the use cases that you want to address. A lot of the technology partners that I've seen typically are less than helpful because they're too generalist. And I think that to the extent that, at least my experience, just to give a little plug to Leon and Sphere, to the extent that I've had interactions with you guys, it's always been laser focused on the kinds of things that we want to address. It's not just about building a chatbot. It's building a chatbot that is specifically designed to serve my customer base and in a specific way. For instance, first contact, as opposed to escalation, as opposed to providing a searchable FAQ. That is what makes the difference between a good partner and just an okay one. And ultimately, this is what justifies the money spent versus bringing in talent and training it in-house.
Yeah, I guess you always have to have this mission for whatever you're developing and your partnership with. So, and always keep it in mind and in the forefront of your collaboration, right? So I do agree with that completely. And maybe Ara, do you want to share also what is your perspective on this front?
I will just add something to what Daniel mentioned. And specifically fintech, it's something that takes time to learn, right? There are a lot of nuances, and it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're marketing or lawyer or operations or call center, but definitely a technology partner, right? And you know, I heard that it takes 20 years to get 20 years of experience. You know, that's how it works. So I think that when you choose your partner, and that's why you ask, you know, Daniel and I, we know each other for 15 years, and you know, we've been in the space, right? And you learn something, and you get better, and this is the same partners you want to choose. People that understand, or if they don't understand, that's okay, because they're new, they understand what their role will be versus what your role will be. Because at the end of the day, we are dealing with people's life. You know, it's not like we're not going to hospitals and saving people, but one of the things that's super stressful for people is the financial situation, and fintech is trying to do good things for this, and that's why it has to be right. It has to be, when you develop a product, it has to be approved by legal and regulation, and all the nuance should be working well, because that's what you do to build for us. And that's how you get your skills and partners to make sure they're doing. You know, yes, Sphere has been in the fintech for you know, at least 15, if not actually close to 20 years, which is amazing. And that's how you build your skills, and then your reputation, and then the people you want to work with.